Hello and namaste. I am Hani Kithani, co-founder and COO of 10,000 Startups India, which is a platform for startups from idea stage to IPO stage for fundraising, virtual incubation, and acceleration. Here we are with another exciting episode of Startup Showcase by 10KSI, where we discuss everything about entrepreneurship, its challenges, and behind the scenes of startups from the founders themselves. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Naman Sidharth, CEO and founder of The Artistic Jeweler, world's first decentralized jewellery metaverse gallery with physical asset tokens. Naman has an experience of over 5 years in jewellery industry, with cross-border transactions being his core expertise in the industry. Having worked with several jeweler clients across Asian countries, he has an in-depth understanding of problems faced by the jewelers as well as their patrons. Hi Naman,
Hey, hi, honey. How are you?
all well, thank you so much. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for organizing this.
My pleasure, and I'm so glad to have you with us today. So, Naman, by profession, you were a management consultant in auditing domain. How did
Yes.
you come up with this gripping idea?
So I graduated back in 2013. I was in India for the next couple of years. 2016, I decided to move to Bhutan because India was quite challenging. And Bhutan, was more of a pivoting point in my career where I got to interact with many international cross border clients. And since 2016 onwards, I've been seeing how the jewelry economy works, especially the fine jewelry. 5 years looking at transactions, dealing with companies, multinational companies, you see a lot of value chain being here. And during these time, due of my luck, the blockchain and NFT space was booming. So it all came down to one fine dinner with few of my clients. We were discussing the pain in the industry, which was how the artists are always left behind in the jewelry industry. When you go and you buy the jewelry, you don't know who the real artist is behind it. Like compare it with a painting. You never buy a painting from a multinational company, you buy it from a painter. But in the jewelry industry, it was all bizarre, especially in the fine jewelry segment. So that was a big pain point which we were discussing, and then came the financial aspect. The margins were crazy. There's these designers who have spent decades owning their talent gets 10, 20, 30% the margins. Rest everything goes to the value chain. And so this idea that this concept came in, why don't we digitalize it? Why don't we take it to the blockchain and let's do something to this, dinosaur era jewelry industry. And that's how this everything came into the picture. And it's been a fun journey since then.
Sounds very amazing. So, why tech? I mean, what interested you to take this platform to the technology area? Why not e-commerce? Why not other kind of platforms? With the why Web 3.0 basically?
The reason of Web 3.0 is the community and the story behind it. Take any Web 2 platform, take any e-commerce, even the jewelry e-commerce. It's just a platform where you can, see the pictures of the jewelry and buy and transact in it. Web3 provides you a much bigger domain. You can, every story behind the piece, every details you can put in the blockchain, which is immutable, which can never change. It can be a community between artists and the patrons. There's no need for any middleman. See, it's not how love works. Nobody can tell you whom to love. That's not how the love works, but that's what is happening even in the Web 2 space. And the best part about Web 3 is that it takes you directly to the things, to the people, to the art you love. There's nothing in between. There's a community, there's a decentralization. And that's where we thought that Web3 is the best platform for the jewelry industry. And we need to move. We need to move into that. and give the users the experience they've always desired.
I personally really love the concept of community. At 10 years, we are building this community since last 2.5 years, and I'm really a big fan of community, and I think this approach with the artistic dweller is really amazing.
Thank you, thank you.
When did you choose to become an entrepreneur exactly? And how long did it take you to be there?
It's been a pretty long journey. So I'm born and brought up in a town in Bihar, and after my 12th, I moved to Calcutta for my further studies. I did my graduation. So while my graduation, I joined a firm where I used to take care of auditing, accounting, and everything. So 13, I graduated. I continued doing it in India till 2015. I was in the firm, and then somehow I didn't see. I was sort of bored from it, and I thought let's go ahead and let's try to do something of my own. And that was the time in 15 November when I thought entrepreneurship is for me. Let's build something from scratch. So I started doing it in India for about a year. But there are always challenges when you bring something from the scratch, and that's what I was facing. At that time, I went to Bhutan twice for couple of seminars I gave, and that's where I found that Bhutan has a lot of opportunity. Especially, I was fresh out of college, 24, 25, so I found, what? Let's move. And Facebook had been my best friend. At that time, LinkedIn was not that active, back in 15, at least in my circle. So one night I sat along with my friends. We pinged every Facebook page we could find of Bhutan, pinging that, hey, we are this and this, we want to come to Bhutan, but there are restrictions on the visa, we need invitations and everything. I think more than 50, 60, 70, we pinged everyone we could find. And luckily, we got a very good partnership. And 2016, we moved to Bhutan. And that was when the thing started changing, because we were one of the first Indian firm, or rather one of the first firms based out of Thimphu, capital of Bhutan. So it was a fun journey there, and that's where something is excitement to build. And then when something starts building it starts motivating you. That what next, where next? And that motivation kept me going. So 2019, I started moving towards Asian countries. Bhutan was fun and is fun even today. But then we started looking at Myanmar, Vietnam, Japan, Singapore, and we had quite a few clients. So that happened 19, 20, 21. Even during the COVID phase, we took the complete Asian market. And when we talk about Asian market, my majority of the clients somehow were jewelers. So they were artists or pearl farmers, or something to do with the jewelry industry at a good level. And that's where I gained my experience in the jewelry industry.
Awesome. Such an absolutely an insightful and inspiring journey. And I'm sure with a lot of adventures. I think you have started your entrepreneurship journey since 2015. So it's 2022 now, and you have a lot of experience and stories to share with us. Awesome. So let's simplify your platform with the audience. So, how would your parents describe what you do?
They basically, what they actually say also is, right now they simply go to a jewelry store and buy a piece of jewelry. And especially in the Indian culture, we don't sell jewelry. It's passed on to generations. It's very rare you see jewelry is being sold. The reason is multifold. One of the reasons is, when you go to a store and you buy a particular jewelry, the certifications, although it is coming up to age, it's enhancing, but still it's a challenge. Storing all that certifications, who the designer is, certificate of origin. Because even my parents want to have a non-conflict diamond, and they want to know the source of the diamond, the source of the gold, who actually made it. What I'm exactly doing in a very simple terms is I'm taking a physical jewelry and digitalizing it. And when I say digitalizing it, it's twofold. A, physical jewelry is digitalization into the metaverse. So you can, wear a fine diamond necklace and go on a PUBG game to fight with other players or fight with a troll. It's a digitally wearable piece. And the second thing, part in the digitalization process is right from the mind till the final product, everything is well accounted for. So tomorrow, if you decide to flip it, you don't have to struggle who bought it earlier, is it authentic, certificate, everything is in the blockchain itself. So now when you buy a jewelry, you're not just getting a physical piece, but you also get the complete digitalization copy of it. And as the time passes, the price of not metal and gold, but the art increases. Let's say you have a brilliant piece today and it changed hand, and somewhere down the line, a celebrity won it. And then it came to you. Now that particular piece price has already, skyrocketed. Or for example, a brilliant designer made that piece, which is maybe 10 pieces a year he makes. Now, as the year passes by, as his popularity increases, your piece value quadruples. Today, when you buy a ring, you don't know how many people are wearing the same ring in the world. Now, go to take just apparel industry. Imagine buying a top and then going in uh, any event, and finding seven other people wearing the same thing. I mean, that's now in the jewelry industry the same thing with the plagiarism, the copying, and everything. This is becoming a problem, and that is where we come in. We say that if this is a one of one ring made by this designer, never to be replicated, or this is one of 10 ring, just the 10 pieces made by this designer, never to be replicated. Since it's in blockchain, it can be easily traced. And unlike most of the NFT projects or Web3, when we talk about Web3, people think, it's all virtual. So that is another barrier we are breaking. Every NFT jewelry or every digital jewelry you buy, you get the physical jewelry along with it. So now we don't have to trade places between the real digital physical world or the digital world. It's a perfect amalgamation.
Amazing. I think it's solving a lot of problems. Firstly, the plagiarism, like you mentioned, the authenticity of the design is maintained. The source of the design and the material that came from basically the documentation, the certification, and everything is covered up. I think this is amazing and mind-boggling at the same time. So yeah, I mean, let's learn more about it. So what do you think, for the NFT world in the coming 5 years? Like, how do you think it will be?
I'm very bullish on the NFT space, to be very honest. But I think as the time progresses, NFT have to find real world use cases. Uh, Community is, of course, the most important aspect. But the second question comes in is, what does that community provide? The community, you cannot create a community and then have a pyramid scheme or multi-level marketing into it, or you cannot have something which is not sustainable. For example, music industry have been working very hard to find a real world use case where music as an NFT, and that sounds exciting. The same thing in the apparel industry. See, take an example of a gaming world. It's $1 trillion industry. When you buy a Gucci or a Louis Vuitton bag, you buy it for aesthetic purpose. You might get the same quality in other non that big brand, but you pay premium because of the aesthetic purpose. Same thing, take it to the gaming industry, which has been there for over a decade and is purely virtual. People buy special skins, special guns with some designs over it, which does not improve the game. But the point is, when you have spent thousands of hours in a game, you want to show that superiority, that aesthetic thing in the game. See, the psychology is the same, whether it is the real or the digital world. Now, with this metaverse, with this NFT, the same thing is happening. People right now are spending more time on Facebook and Instagram and all the social handles. And as the generation is progressing, this is going to grow like anything. So, in this world, I'm not talking about a dystopian future where our real world is in shatters, nothing that. But there will be a very, very fine line that out of 8 leisure hours you have, you'll be spending 4, 5, 6 hours in the metaverse with these NFTs. So at that time, you need, what will you wear there? You have to wear something, right? And then you want to wear a branded shoe, a branded cloth. That's one part of the metaverse. The second part is the real world supply chain solutions they are bringing in. Right now, the wine industry, they have been doing great. They have been exploring this from farm to table. The concept was always there, but using the blockchain, it found a real life application to it. So similarly, in the NFT space, I find that in the 5 years, this domain is going to develop. There are many such brilliant ideas going to come where NFTs, metaverse, blockchain, they'll be using it in a real world scenario. And even the governments have been already exploring it. How can they put land records into the blockchain? How can they do the trade licenses in the blockchain? Back in October 2021, Bhutan government have already tied up with XRP, a company, and they have been exploring to create a private blockchain so that they can take the complete currency to the blockchain. So people have been in the forefront of this. It's going to be there, and it's going to change the world as we know it.
Definitely, I think this is the future. I mean, and for the artistic jeweler, I mean, what are you going to wear to your avatar? Of course, branded jewelry. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing those insights about this. Now, tell me, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing in your role currently as a founder and in the new business, because this is very much new to a lot of people out there. A lot of them are already aware, yes, and they are learning a lot about it. But for a lot of them, it's very new. So, what are the challenges for you as a founder and for your business? And how are you tackling it?
So one of the biggest challenge, like you said, to be very honest, for a lot of people, it is completely new. And with the recent, the old previous blockchain crypto thing, the legality and everything, they have a very wrong misconception about it. So my biggest challenge right now has become the misconception that NFT or crypto or blockchain is everything virtual. That is not the case. Like in our thing, every NFT, every token has a physical piece with it. So that is one of the biggest challenge, the mindset and creating awareness that like with every technology, when internet came, when everything, there are two sides of the coin. There are projects which are working on the real world cases, problem statements, and we are one of them. So convincing people, that has been challenged. What we have been doing is we started reaching out to celebrity artists, internationally renowned artists and influencers, and we said, let's do one thing, we'll create the complete platform. Let's go in the market with the platform itself, so that when people experience it, see, when I explain, when you listen to a podcast, you get something, you have a school of thought. But when you experience it, that's the best part into it. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of months. We have been developing it beforehand. We want to go into the market and show how it can be a game changer. The second challenge into this space is, you know, jewelry is a huge market with a 10,000 or $10 item to $1 million or 2 crore, 5 crore item. Now, how do we look at a broader view and be able to, and the platform be able to do justice to it? Because that has been a big challenge, and that query has been coming, that everybody can come and say, we are also a jeweler, we want to make things. How do you do that? So we understand that, see, Web3 is about a trustless system. When people come, they trust the platform, and we have done the due diligence. So for that purpose, the marketplace we are creating is not a open marketplace. So every jeweler cannot come in and participate in it. What we have done it is, we have tied up with CPAs across the globe. So whenever a jeweler comes, the CPA visits the site, does the stock audit, the physical verification of the jewelry, make sure the jewelry is available. We insure the jewelry. We tied up with logistic partners to ensure that the pieces which are coming are authentic. The designers who are coming have been in this profession for decades. So that's how we are trying to create a trustless system where we have a complete due diligence in place. So that's been one of the challenges we are looking at. And the third and the last challenge, major one, is, see, right now jewelry industry is commanded by corporates. So a major market share is with the corporations. Now, of course, they have done a brilliant job, and they have put it as an organized sector for last around a century. But we believe in this time. See, that's why the reason the Bitcoin came. The power needs to go back to the people, back to these artists. The major challenge is there to convince both the artist as well as the patrons that be your own self. Do not sell your art. See, art, they spend, like I said, decades honing those skills. So do not sell this art simply to a corporate brand. Rather, keep your own brand. And to the patrons, the same thing we are trying to say is, please do not trust the artist behind it. We are providing the platform, the due diligence is there. Please trust the artist behind it. Directly reach to the source. Because the story they are going to tell, no corporate, no salesperson is going to tell you the story behind it. And if you truly love something, you have to go to the source. A salesperson cannot convince you to love something. So that's the major challenge we are looking at, convincing both the sides of the coin, the artist and the patrons, to not go toward the corporate culture, but rather be their own brand.
Awesome. I think this was amazing. And the way that you're tackling these challenges is just, impressive. So you mainly, shared challenges like, it's a very huge market and the virtuality of it. It is difficult for the public to, believe it in the first sight. So you have to build that awareness and talk to them end to end, speak those processes, explain them, and then onboard these people that you have in your community. Amazing. And the fact that you do the due diligence before you get your community in place is also, awesome. So, and the point that you mentioned, which intrigued me, is the fact where you mentioned how it will allow people to know more or learn more about the roots or the source of the thing, which is definitely nowadays people are expecting to learn. So awesome. I think this is amazing. And I would really, I am really picking your brain here, and I want to pick more if you allow me.
Please shoot away.
Now let's talk about the artistic jeweler. Could you elaborate the importance of funds that would come into your startup for your platform and the right team for your platform?
So I'll first deal with the team. Uh, when I started it, that was one of the major concerns we had. But how to build a very strong team who understands the industry. And that's where we were lucky enough to collaborate with two founders along with me who came on board as a stakeholder. One of them is Alessio Boschi. He's a Italian designer, a Guinness Book of World Record holder, and he has been in the industry for last 2 decades. A really gentleman who understands and loves the art like nothing else. And the second is Mr. Devchand Chaudhary. He is an Indian origin jeweler, but raised in Japan. And he's a pearl farmer originally. Also, he understands the logistics and the nitty gritties of creating and distributing a jewelry network. So that was the team we began with. And then we are right now expanding the team into the Web3 space. We have been onboarding Web3 talents across the board for tokenization who understands the pitfall, because Web3 is a evolving industry still. It's in a nascent stage. So we have been onboarding really talented team members like Shravan from India, who have been developing the platform on Unity, who have been working really hard to create this metaverse. And it's been fun. The same thing is Mr. Harpreet from Delhi. All these pieces have nitty gritties into it, small hand paintings done. So bringing that to life, they have been working really hard. And the second part of this is on the funds. So we have been raising funds, and our major allocation of the funds are going to build on top of one another. So we are tying up with other metaverses. We are tying up with other Web3 companies like fractional NFT so that people can be more vested into. We are tying up with a company who provides loan against NFT, because generally what happens, these jewelry you buy and you just shove it in a safe, takes out once a year and it's stuck. So we are also tying up with companies who provide loans against NFTs. The funds utilization is pretty simple. About 40% of the funds we have already earmarked just for marketing, growing the community, and empowering the artists. 20% has been earmarked to ensure that the flow of the technological build is very smooth, because it will keep on expanding and we need to meet the targets. And the balance 40% we have kept in place to bring on board more jewelers to digitalize their piece and to go into different geographies, so that the reach and the reach of those artists is much wider than their present scale. So that's about the funding aspect and the team.
Wow, thank you. And what are your future plans? Any 3 things that you're aspiring for the future of the artistic jeweler?
So Artistic Jeweler is our first project under Non-Fungible Jewelry Labs Private Limited. That's the company. We will be launching this in September, Vicenza, Italy. We had a tie-up with the exhibition house, one of the biggest exhibition house of the world actually, and we'll be exclusively launching it physically in real life in the event. Post that, we are moving on to the second phase, where people have been reaching out. They want to be a part of the community, and there is where we are coming out with the silver coin. See, especially in India, or economies and cultures like India, people buy gold and silver coins for multiple reasons, and that has always proven to be some of a challenge. What we are doing is we are minting physical coins, silver and gold coins. One side of the coin we have, of course, the design. The other side of the coin we have a laser printed QR code. So every coin has their own QR code. Whenever you get a coin and when you scan the code, it takes you to the virtual token, which has all the informations about the piece. And of course, it will be a limited edition. We don't want uh, simply to mint it for it, but we want people to experience this concept of non-fungible jewelry with physical asset token at a very affordable thing to do. So that's we are doing. That's the second project. We have already went ahead and started minting the coins. And one of the third things we have been looking into is when we talk to the jewelers, the problem comes with the gems. Now, talk about diamond. There are n number of diamonds with carat, clarity. There are many, many, many details. Talk about pearls. You have to go to many organizations where they X-ray the pearl, they X-ray the diamond, and then they create a detailed, paperwork. On top of that paperwork, they come out with a one certification. What we want to do is we want to have our gem universe where all the gems being used in this jewelry, in our metaverse jewelry, every documentation of that pearl is also properly documented, so that when you buy a diamond necklace and you go out of the showroom, the prices doesn't drop. Everything is in place. So that's the pipeline. That's the three things we are working on right now. But to begin, the launch event is completely focused on the artistic jewelry at the moment.
Sounds good. I think the interesting part that I found, I think the coin thing is very interesting. I mean, it could be used for a lot of things, for gifting, for and a lot of things, for storing, for just building your wealth or something like that.
Yes, and it will be like an access pass to the community, which will have their own privileges. Every coin will have their own privileges attached to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, so before we move on, so I have some personal questions as well to understand more about your timetable and how do you work on your startup and everything. Before that, I want to understand what's that one question you wish I would have asked you, and how would you have answered?
How are we going to change the jewelry industry as we know it?
Amazing question.
That is something we have been, wherever the thing when this all started, that was the thing that, Naman, you're talking so much about NFT and this and that. How are you going to change the jewelry industry? And a simple answer is we want to break the corporate culture which is evident in this industry. We simply want to create a very open, trustless, decentralized system where jewelry is not something you buy and you store it in the safe. You don't, line up pockets in the corporations and everything, but you trust in the people. We want people to understand art is an art when it's created by a human being. If you check 10,000 years ago, in those civilizations, jewelry was there. The stone jewelries people used to wear, the jewelry, it was something of a statement to show, to live life, to enjoy life. And you don't really do that when you go to a corporate and buy an expensive metal. That's not jewelry. Jewelry is because you want to really show what you're wearing, and that's only and only when you this is something which the creativity, only we have been blessed by the god.
That shows your
creativity-
character.
Exactly. So this is what I want to change in this industry. Is jewelry is about art. Jewelry is about people who create it. You don't buy a painting from a corporate or a lifeless entity. You're buying it from a living painter. Jewelry is it imbibes the very same feeling, and that should be the case.
I think that was the most interesting question of the podcast today. And I love the fact where you mentioned, jewelry is not just something that you buy just because. You can actually buy that and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think that would be really amazing for maybe the new generation also to, enjoy this. Because, new generation may not prefer going to a store and then buying something and getting something for themselves just to store it in a bank locker, just like how our grannies and
Yes, exactly.
parents does it. Okay. Great. So I have an interesting question for you. Uh, so, what is your typical day look like as an entrepreneur and as a founder of the Art Jeweler?
So whoever said that, uh, private job and this is very hectic, 9 to 5, 9 to 10, you work. That's not the case. When it comes to entrepreneurship, it's 24/7. It is you work on weekends. When you don't work, there's a very very thin line between uh, personal and professional, because there's no roadmap to it. There's no timeline to it. You keep on thinking, you keep on innovating, and most importantly, you keep on pivoting, because the more you discuss with people, the more critical thinking comes into place, and then you keep on pivoting. So for an entrepreneur, there's nothing called personal life. When you meet friends and you meet relatives, often more than not, you end up talking about either your project, or you talk about the idea you're thinking. Yeah, that's going in the back of your mind. So that's one thing, and I love it. I actually love it, because creating something from scratch without a roadmap has its own excitement. My day, I generally spend the first couple of hours trying to plan things out, although I'm not sure if I am able to stick to it. But I try to plan things out, and I try to straighten out my calendar for the day, and then of course hit right into the job. Once 8 9, the markets open, the offices open, we start making calls, because entrepreneurial life is much more than sitting on a laptop and working. It's much Most of my job is on marketing, on talking to people, on bouncing off the ideas, and on coordinating rather than sitting and working. So say 80% of my time goes on calls. That is one thing. And I have a very supportive family. uh, I always make sure I actually try that a startup journey can be very taxing, especially if you're in Web3 space, which every second day either there's a new startup or a rule change or something new has come up. It can be very taxing. But it's very important for entrepreneurs to take a break, take some me time, where they spend with the family, with the kids, and just a me time to recharge, and then again go ahead into it.
Awesome. So true. I mean, uh, an entrepreneur just don't have any holiday or any weekend.
It's all about hustling. It's all about hustling.
And
Because
you do everything.
yeah, because you never have no matter how much you invest, or your family, or your angels, VCs funding you get, you will always be hustling. It will always be less. You have to always hustle. You have to wear all the caps, from HR to CEO to CFOs to everything you have to do. And hustling is good. But this is one very important lesson I have learned: is hustling is good when you are building. It is bad when you are scaling. So when building, hustling is the best thing for you to do everything possible, to get freelancers, to get help and this. But when you start scaling, that time we need to understand that now we have to start delegating. We need to start. Hustling is not going to work. We cannot scale with hustling. So that's, hustling is a great word which everybody uses, but this distinction between what is building and what is scaling needs to be very well understood.
That is a very important point that you just now mentioned. Awesome. So let's do a rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Your favorite color,
Blue,
your favorite movie.
pursuit of happiness.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Bhutan,
Wow. Favorite subject in school.
maths.
Oh, we have a geek. Okay. What star sign are you?
Aries,
Okay. What is your favorite food?
pav bhaji.
Proper desi. Okay. Okay. Do you vote in local elections?
Yes,
Awesome. Are you a morning or a night person?
night owl.
What is your least favorite beverage?
Cold drinks, in particular the Coke and thumbs ups.
Got it. How many books have you read this year?
8.
If a movie was made of your life, what theme would it be and what would you name it?
He has to be the entrepreneurship journey, and I'd be naming it the roller coaster ride.
It's a roller coaster indeed. Okay, thank you so much for that. Before we move on, I have two last questions for you. One is, what do you aim to achieve from this program with us, with 10KSI?
So I want to reach out to people, create the awareness of the brand, awareness of the idea and something which we are building. That's my first and the foremost motive. The second is also to collaborate, to meet like-minded people, peers, mentors, investors, to come together and scale this up.
Amazing. And Naman, for your information, we are enjoying working with you. We have, in fact, ourselves learned a lot about this industry from you. And the community that's here is definitely, going to help you and platform and take this journey together further ahead.
Thank you.
Before we move on, what is your mantra to success for aspiring audience who may be affected, during the COVID as well?
If you think you have an idea, start executing it. Just build it and ship it. There's no point, going over it over again. There's no point thinking. If you really believe you have an idea, ship it. It doesn't need to be 100% perfect. I mean, to be very honest, perfection is the enmity of profitability. So you have an idea, you think you're onto something, start building it and start shipping.
So true. Execution is the key. So true. Thank you so much, Naman, for your time today. I really enjoyed this conversation and I learned a lot about Web 3.0. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And I really look forward to work with you and your team.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Annie. Same here.
Thank you so much.